Hey guys, welcome to today's video. I will be sharing common mistakes that people make in their visa application that leads to visa denials. I have coached a lot of people in their visa applications, and personally I have also made a lot of visa application, and I know a few things that people do that may work against them in their application. Mind you, I just want to put out there that I am not an immigration advisor. I am not a visa agent. So if you always need advice, make sure you go to the UK government website to verify all the information I'm going to share. A lot of people have come to me about, oh, couscous, I submitted my visa application, I was denied. Nugget, biscuit, nugget and a biscuit, nugget, biscuit. Sometimes it's visit visa, sometimes it's student visa. I just thought I should make this video to share a few mistakes that I think people make that jeopardize their visa application. So stay tuned, and also remember to share this video to anybody that you know will be making any visa application. I live in the UK and I have applied for a UK student visa and I've applied for a UK work visa. I have coached people to apply for UK visitors visa. I've applied for visitors visa to Ireland. I've applied for visitors visa to United Arab Emirates. So I would say I have experience in visa applications, and I know the things that you need to do to make sure that you submit a very strong visa application, the kind of application that when the visa officer reads, there are very high chances that they will approve your application. So I'm just going to go straight into the video, and the very first thing is proof of funds. We all know that for you to get a visa application, you have to prove the fact that you have the financial capacity to sustain yourself wherever you go. For instance, if you're applying to UK, you have to show in your proof of funds, which is going to be your bank statement, that you have the financial ability to sustain yourself throughout your time in the UK. If in your application you say you're going to be spending 1 month in UK, you have to show in your bank statement that you have the financial capacity to sustain you for the period of 1 month. How do you know how much you should put? For instance, if you're applying for a student visa, the government will say make sure you include your tuition fee and your living expenses for 9 months. If you're applying for a visitor's visa, they ask you to put an amount that will sustain you for the whole period. So you're going to go to Google and say, what is the daily cost of living in London? So if they say, for instance, maybe for you to stay in London for a month, you need like 1,200, divide that into 30 days and you'll get the daily cost. So if you're traveling for 12 days, you use the daily cost times 12, and then you put that in your proof of funds. I always encourage people to make sure that you put a lot more money than you need, so that it will show that you have a lot more money, to show that you are not using all your savings to apply for the visa. You know, visa officers also try to establish your source of income. What do you do for a living? You see, for instance, if you apply for a UK visitors visa, they're going to ask you, how much do you earn on a monthly basis? How much is your monthly expenses? How much do you have in your savings? How much is your total savings? They're going to ask you all those questions, and then they're going to ask you, how much do you plan to spend in the UK when you travel? And then you're going to tell them. By the time you submit this application, they are going to use all the responses you have given them, and they are going to see, how much does this person earn? How much does this person save? So for instance, say you earn 500,000 naira in a month, and then they ask you, how much is your monthly expenses? And you say 450,000. Then that means automatically you can only save 50,000 in your savings each month. And then if they now say, how much do you have in savings? And say you say 5 million naira in savings, total savings, and then they're asking you, how much are you going to spend on your trip in the UK? Then you say maybe 4 million naira. You're going to be spending more than 90% of your savings, and it doesn't make sense to them. So whatever you write, whatever you do in your application, try to show that you have more money than they want you to show. For instance, if you're going to say that you're going to be spending 5 million naira in your trip, if I was you, I'll probably show 7 million, 8 million, or 9 million in my bank statement. And if they ask you how much is your savings, and say you have 5 million, if your total savings is 5 million, then you cannot say that you're going to be spending 5 million in the UK. Maybe you say you're going to be spending 2 million or 3 million, which is why you should, when you're applying for a visa application, reduce the number of days you want to spend. So if you wanted to spend 14 days and you know that the proof of funds you're going to show will be just too much for 14 days, you can say that you'll be spending 7 days. That does not mean that you will spend 7 days when you arrive in the country, because when they give you a visitor's visa, it's likely going to be 3 months or 6 months. So it means you can come into the country and stay as long as your visa is valid, and make sure you leave the country before your visa expires. You don't have to write in the application that you're going to be staying for 1 month, because they're going to check your finances. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. I get a lot of questions about proof of funds. So you want to establish that, first of all, you have enough income, you have enough money for the trip, and that You're not going to go broke by the time you're done, and your bank statement has to reflect that money. Also, don't just deposit lump sum of money few days to your visa application, because you're obviously going to submit your 3 months bank statement, and they are going to review the activities in your bank statement for that 3 months. And if, say, in the past 3 months they are just seeing your salary coming 500,000, and then before the end of the month 450,000 is gone, and then the next month 500,000, before the end of the month 550,000 is gone, like that for month 3, and then all of a sudden on the 28th of December, they see 5 million naira deposit in your account, and then you submit your visa application 1st of January. Of course, they are going to question it. Where did this money come from? You just go and borrow this money somewhere. So you need to explain. I'm not saying that you cannot deposit lump sum money, but you need to explain the source. So for instance, you can say if it is your parents that gave you the money, you have to explain. If you're transferring money from your savings account to the account that you're going to be using for proof of funds, it's going to be easier for you to defend, because obviously they are going to say that the money that deposited this money, or the name of the person that deposited this money, is your name. For instance, Kuseme Ise, I'm the one applying for visa, and the bank statement I'm submitting is Kuseme Ise. If I transfer money from my other account to the bank statement I'm going to be using, to the account of the bank statement I'm going to be using, of course the transfer name would also be Kuseme Ise. And then I can quickly explain in my letter of intent that I deposited this money, I transferred this money from my savings, and I deposited it here because I want to use it for the trip. So you always have to offer explanation. Remember to always ensure that you keep your money for 28 days, especially if you're applying for a student visa. If you're applying for a student visa, the UK government specifically states that the money in your proof of funds account must be in that account for up to 28 days before you submit your visa. Now, when you are printing your bank statement, print your bank statement the week you want to submit your visa. So for instance, you want to submit your visa application 1st January. October, the money in your account should be there for 28 days. So at least 2nd December, your money should be complete. Your proof of funds amount should be complete in your account by 2nd December. You don't have to print the bank statement by 2nd December. Wait until maybe 30th December, maybe 20th, 25th, 30th, 31st before you print your bank statement, and then you go and submit your visa application 1st or 2nd January. So they want to see that you printed your bank statement very recently. However, they want to see your 3 months history, and they want to see that you have kept your proof of funds, the total amount that you need for the visa application, you've kept it in your account for up to 28 days. That does not mean that you should not put that money in that account for more than 28 days. So I usually advise people, if you know that you're going to be applying for visa in July, start putting money in that account in January, February, March, so that the money will accumulate. So at the end of the day, you are not paying in lump sum of money all of a sudden, because it would sound like a red flag. I think I have read a few visa rejection letters where the visa officer said that they are unable to establish your source of income. They are unable to establish that you're going to be able to spend the money that you have in your proof of funds account. So when they suspect that the money is borrowed, they probably think the money is not yours and you will not be able to spend it when you arrive the country. So that's what you should do. That's why you should be able to establish how much you earn, how much you plan to spend on your trip, and how you came about the money. So if your dad gave you the money, explain. If you sent the money from your savings account to this account that you're going to be using for proof of funds, make sure you explain that, so that it is easy for the visa officer to connect the dots. Or by all means, or on no occasion should you allow the visa officer to think that you borrowed the money, you loaned the money, and that you will not be able to spend the money. That's another thing that, of course, your proof of funds is one of the most important factors that would either make or mar your visa application. If you have any questions about proof of funds, feel free to leave it in the comment section and I'll be very happy to address. Another costly mistake that people make in their visa application is lying in the application. So for instance, you're lying about your job. They're going to ask you, where do you work? Are you working full-time or part-time? What is your job title? What is your employer's address? If you lie, they are probably going to verify all this information. So they're going to ask you for employer's address. The visa officer might go and Google. I'm not a visa officer, mind you, but I'm just playing devil's advocate. Say I am a visa officer. These are the things I would do. If I see in your application that you work for ABC company and they are resident in Abuja, I'm going to quickly Google ABC company. And I know that also for visitors visa application, they usually ask for your employer's contact and they would say, where do you work? What's the address, phone number, or email? So if you now put a phone number that maybe they try to call and it doesn't go through, or they Google the address and it is not your employer, your proposed employer that is there, to ring a red flag in your application. Avoid lying. A lot of people come to me and say, oh, Couscous, I was denied a US visa last year, or I was denied a Turkish visa last year. Should I disclose in my application? Because when you're making a visa application, they are going to ask you, have you ever been denied a visa from any country? So a lot of people ask me, should I disclose or not? I would say that it is better to be transparent in your application, and the fact that every refusal comes with explanation, it is better for you to disclose that refusal and put the reason why you were denied, so that you just know. Because they'll say you put in your application that you've never been denied, and then they make their findings and discover that you have actually been denied. Do you think you're going to get the visa? No, you're not going to get the visa. So lying in your application is very detrimental to the outcome of your application. I've read a couple of visa rejection letters that they said, you work for this employer, but I've not been able to establish on a quick search or a quick Google search, have not identified that this employer exists. Oh, you said that you make certain so and so amount of money, but a review of your bank statement over the past 3 months shows that you've not been receiving money from your employer, from the person that you call your employer. So avoid lying in your application. And when you want to submit your bank statement and you have a full-time job, the best thing for you to do is submit the bank statement that you receive your salary into. If you're a business owner, submit the bank statement that you receive proceeds of your business into, so that they can link it that, okay, you say you work for federal government of Nigeria, and they have seen that every 28th or 30th of the month, a deposit of a certain amount from federal government of Nigeria enters your account, and it's the same amount every month. And that's the amount that you say that you earn every month. So everything is linked together and is not disconnected. If you lie in your visa application and the visa officer finds out, that's an automatic no, automatic denial, and you do not want that. Another thing that is close to lying, or I would say is even worse than lying, is forgery, forging documents. Somebody reached out to me and said, oh, excuse, I was banned from applying for UK visa for 10 years. I'm like, oh my God, that's so sad. What happened? And then she was like, oh, I used an agent to apply. The money in my bank account was not complete, and the agent forged a bank statement, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's a fatal crime. Like, that's a very, it's not even a misdemeanor, it's a felony, is a crime. Forgery is a crime. Felony is when you commit a very serious crime. Misdemeanor is when you commit a crime that is the traffic crimes. You disobey traffic rules. Those are misdemeanors. You don't pay, maybe, you know, you got a fine somewhere, you didn't pay, that's like misdemeanor. But felony is very grievous offenses against the law. If you forge a document, that is forgery, and it is a crime. If they catch you, they will not just reject your visa, they will ban you from applying for future visa application. If the UK government or the US government or Canadian government bans you from applying for visa, be rest assured that that information will go to other visa embassies, and you don't want that. It's very sad, because it is better for you to be patient and make sure that you prepare all your documentations on time than for you to submit an application with a forged document. It is a crime. On no circumstance should you submit a document that is not real. On no account should you doctor your document. So even if, I know that a lot of people work with visa agents, I don't like it. I feel like people should do their research and get the right information. So even if you want to work with an agent, you know the right information, and you know, and you tell the agent what to do. A lot of people work with agents and think agents are gods. Agents have no power to make decisions on your visa. If your document is not complete, it is not complete. Whether you submit a visa application by yourself or through an agent, the requirements are the same. So if you don't have a required document that is needed, and then the agent tells you, oh, don't worry, I'll sort it, ask the agent, how do you plan to sort it? What are you going to do? Because a lot of people just allow the agents to do it, and then agents use wrong documents to submit their visa application. They ban you. It's not the agent they're going to ban. It's you they will ban, and you're the one that will face the consequences. There's nothing like, oh, I didn't know. Ignorance is not bliss in this instance. And ignorance is not an excuse. So you should not allow somebody to comfortably commit a crime with your document or using your name, and you just sit back and say, oh, the agent will sort it. Agents are not magicians. If a visa application portal says these are the documents that are needed, we need 3-month bank statement, we need you to certify that bank statement, we need you to do this, we need you to do that, an agent cannot overrule that. So make sure that even when you work with an agent, you verify the information on the government website. If you're applying for a visa, if you want to apply for a visitor's visa or UK work visa or a UK student visa, and you need coaching, you need guidance, I can guide you. You can just book a consultation with me. I can guide you on how to apply and make sure that you submit a strong application. But I'm not going to deceive you. If I review your documents, I review your circumstances and say that you are not likely to get this visa approved, I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to lie to you. So avoid lying, avoid forging any documents, because it is a grievous offense. I know of someone who forged Still, this bank statement matter in a student visa application. In fact, they forged this bank statement to submit to a UK university to collect their CAS, confirmation of acceptance of studies. And I don't know how the university did it, but they found out that the bank statement was forged. It was false. It was no original bank statement. And they banned this proposed student from applying to their university, and they did not refund the deposit that's made, around £10,000 deposit. Don't fall a victim. Do not do something that you will regret. It's better for you to submit your visa application and get denied honorably, because when you get denied, you have time to reapply. But when you get banned, if you get banned for 5 years, you get banned for 10 years, there is nothing you can do, especially if it is a crime you committed. Always ensure that you verify whatever your agent tells you and make sure that your agent does not put you in trouble. Another mistake people do is not understanding visa requirements. Each visa application has its requirements, and each requirement has reasons why they're asking for that requirement. For instance, in visitor's visa application, they will say something like, they need you to prove you have strong ties to your country of residence so that you'll be able to return back to the country. When you are applying for your visa, everything you do should show that you will definitely go back home because you have economic ties. What are economic ties? Economic ties could be if you're working there, you have a full-time job there that pays your bills, you have a business there, you have family and children there, you have like something that will take you back home. So in your visitor's visa application, you need to establish to the visa officer and convince the visa officer that you have very strong economic ties back home, that you will not overstay your visa, that there's no reason that you will travel to that country and not go back home. So you need to be able to demonstrate that you have a lot of reasons to go back home. That's why you show things like your letter of employment, you have a business, you show your business documentation, you show that your business, you run a business there, you get reference letters from your employers, you show that you have properties. There are so many things. You show that you've rented a house, things like that. But for student visa, they want you to establish that you have admission and that the university has accepted you and has given you authority to apply for visa, and that you qualify, you meet English language requirements and all of that. So when you're applying for student visa, those are the things that you will try to ensure that you meet. If you're applying for a work visa, they want to see that you've been employed by a licensed employer, that you've been employed by an employer that is qualified to sponsor foreign workers. The job that you got is a job that qualifies for that visa. For instance, if you're applying for a skilled worker visa, the job you got qualifies for a skilled worker visa. The job you got is in a skilled worker occupation. So those are the things you have to establish when you're applying for different visas. So if you do not know the reason they're asking you to provide, then you're not going to focus. So you need to understand the visa requirement. As a visitor's visa applicant, what do they need me to prove in order to get this visa? If you don't know, come and ask me. Better still, book a consultation with me. I'm going to break it down for you. I feel like I've applied for so many visas that I literally know, and I always know how to find information. Say I want to apply for a Schengen visa and I go to YouTube and watch videos. Even if I watch 50 videos on YouTube on how to apply for a Schengen visa, I will still go to the government website and get that information myself. So if you don't know how to get information and you need help, or maybe you get this information, you don't know what it means, you don't know how to interpret it, you don't understand, feel free to book a consultation with me and I'll be very happy to share it with you, interpret these things to you and tell you how you can submit a strong application based on your circumstances. You also need to understand that visa application is individual based. So the visa officer is going to review your circumstances and decide if they should give you the visa or not. The fact that a person A did this and got the visa does not mean person B will do the same thing and get it. Ask yourself, why did person A do this? Is person A in the same circumstances like myself? So visa applications are individual. They are specific based on your circumstances, and you need to ensure that you submit your application, you tailor your applications to suit your circumstances so that you will not regret it and you will not get a rejection. Another costly mistake that people make in their visa application is to submit inconsistent applications. For instance, you make inconsistent statements in your application. There are inconsistencies in your application. Say your passport is Kuseme Ise, and then in your visa application they ask you what's your name, you put Kuseme Emmanuel. Then maybe you submit a reference letter and your reference letter says Kuseme EI. Inconsistencies. Say your date of birth in your passport is different, maybe 7 September, and then in your application you feel 17 September mistakenly. So when there are inconsistencies in your application, they're going to reject you. So let me tell you, there are some applications that you can gamble, but you see visa application, you can never gamble visa application. Any error at all will be used against you. Any error at all will be used against you in a visa application. So ensure that you don't make mistakes. Ensure that you look through your application again and make sure that everything is consistent. When they ask you when are you traveling, you put the date. When do you plan to come back, you put the date. In your statement of support, align yourself with the same dates. Don't say that, oh, in the application that they ask you where are you going to stay, you say you're going to book a hotel, and then in your statement of purpose you say you're going to be staying with your sister. In your letter of intent you say you're going to be staying with your sister, you're going to be staying with a friend. So make sure that everything is consistent from the beginning of the application all the way till the end. And when you go for visa interview, make sure that whatever you say aligns with what is in your application, because the number one mistake people make and the number one thing that causes visa denial is inconsistency in your application. So I've already talked about depending on your agent. Another mistake people do is just depending solely on your agent to do everything for you. You need to do your own research. Yes, it's good to use an agent to apply, but you need to know that the agent will not take responsibility for your application. Before an agent submit your application, if I were you, I will ask an agent to send me the application to review and ensure that I approve everything before the agent submits. So you need to do your research. I've already said that. So, and the last point I'm going to be saying here is one of the things that cause people visa denials, one of the things that results in people's visa being denied is submitting the wrong documents, submitting expired documents. I heard a story where somebody said, oh, I submitted a visa application. In fact, not just I heard, somebody came to my DM and said, oh, Kuskus, I mistakenly submitted the wrong passport in my visa application. So the person's previous passport had expired and the person had a new passport, and then the person now uploaded the expired application and the expired passport. Of course your visa application will be denied, except they call you, because usually when you submit a visa application, the visa application center has the right to call you to clarify information. So if they are benevolent enough to call you and say, we see that the passport you submitted has expired, can you bring the updated one, then you are lucky. But most often than not, they're not going to call you because they have a lot of applications they are dealing with. So they will not even waste their time to call you and start clarifying things. So when you are submitting a visa application, make sure that you front load everything, every information, every document in such a way that the visa officer would have everything. When they are reviewing your application, they will not ask questions. If they had questions, your applications have answered those questions. If there are any disparities, you have clarified those disparities. If there's anything that will make the visa application question your integrity, question the truth of what you're saying, make sure you clarify. And there are a lot of other things that causes people's visa to be denied. Of course, they are not exhaustive, but let me know if you've ever had a visa denial. Let me know in the comment section what it was, what the reason was. When your visa is denied, you can decide to appeal denial if you feel like they denied legally, or if you think that the reason for denial is not sufficient. But if it was denied with sufficient reason, you can always reapply. But then if you commit a crime like fake forging documents, lying, they might also ban you, or they might say you do not have a right to appeal this denial or this decision. So let me know in the comment section if this video was helpful. And I have another video. I have two videos that I shared why people's visa have been denied. I shared a lot of information in that particular video, so it would be nice for you to watch that video as well. And if you check around this video, I've made a video about how to apply for a UK visitors visa step by step. I've made a video about how to apply for a UK student visa step by step. I've also made a video about how to apply for a UK skilled worker visa. So this is a one-stop shop for visa. I've also even made a video about how to apply for Irish visitors visa and so much more. Very soon I'm going to upload a video of how to apply for a Schengen visa. So let me know, just watch these videos and let me know if you have any questions, and if you need any support, if you need me to support you in your visa application, feel free to book a consultation with me. Link in my bio, send me an email and I'll be happy to help. Okay guys, I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.